Hey all, wanted to do a quick overview of the van where we're at right now. Um, for those who are just kind of coming in, we are in the process of building out this Sprinter 3500 XD. It's one of the new 4-cylinder 2023s. I'm going to be using it to tow my GT3RS to various track days and some travel. We're not going to be living in this thing. It's not a full-time living situation thing, but the thing I wanted to go over specifically was the Alpine Van Works kit. So here, let's come up into the van. I decided to go with ebony. It's going to be a very dark and white build. Oh, there's some filth up here. I'm going to have to clean that. So far, I want to say that the Alpine Van Works kit is very high quality. The other kit that came to mind when we were shopping was the kit from Surge Supply. I want to be very clear, the Alpine Van Works kit is definitely a premium product. It has, as a matter of fact, here, let's go grab it real quick. Jump out of the van. You have to forgive my dirty garage. We're in a rush to get everything finished before the GT3RS makes its way stateside. So I got one last panel here. But one thing that makes these panels unique is that there's this foam layer with the aluminum backing. The idea is that it helps with the thermal break between the outside of the van and the temperature that comes through the sheet metal layer all the way to your inside panel here. And then what you don't see, I wonder if you know what, I've already got a hole drilled in this panel for a portion I want to put in. See if we can get some light in there. But if you can see through here, you'll notice, gently pull up the edge here, you notice there's a foam layer here. This foam layer is really nice because it makes it feel very plush to the touch. The Surge Supply kit doesn't have that on either side. Granted, this is quite a bit more money. A lot bit more money. A lot bit more money. What kind of English is that? Also, I need to unplug this one here. But so far, the kit's been great. They have a full instruction video on the web. One thing I do want to go over that's different from their web video instruction, and this is just a change to their product since making that video. There's an aluminum angle that they tell you needs to go along here, and the idea is that it's really supposed to keep the ceiling from bowing. I thought it was missing from my kit. However, it's attached to each ceiling panel, and well, I've got the wall panels in here, but it's attached to the sides of each ceiling panel, so that'll save you a little bit of time. One thing I do want to bring up is you're going to want to be very careful if you've never used a rivet nut tool before. I had not. I unfortunately stripped 2 rivet nuts, and they were a real motherfucker to get out. But we did eventually get them out. Ultimately, I ended up having to drill in an angle. Well, one of them I said, well, you know what, maybe I can rethread it by putting a fastener through. That was an even worse idea because then it eventually tightened and it made the whole thing spin. So I ended up taking an angle grind. Well, first bolt cutter, and then angle grinder, make it flat, and then we came at an angle, like kind of like an obtuse angle like that. The idea being to break this outer sleeve on the rivet nut. Anyway, moving on from rivet nut repair. The kit's really nice. The only thing we really need to do left in the build is, you notice I haven't put in the ceiling here and the wall panels. Wall panels can't really go in until ceiling panels do, but I need to cut this out. I'm putting in a pneumatic X3 AC on the roof, and then I've got all my cages, my extruded aluminum cages that will, be the rest of the build. There'll be more video for that, but the only thing that I would like to see different from the Alpine Van Works kit is how we mount the ceiling panels. I just don't like how it pinches here. I'm pretty sure it's 100% fine. One thing that I didn't truthfully think to do, I went with a white roof, and if I move some of these fasteners out of the way, you might actually be able to see it on the side. But the fasteners are just filthy, right? So they probably have some kind of oil or something on them to stabilize them from supplier for Alpine Van Works. I honestly have no idea. But either way, if you have white panels or if you have white side panels, they'll get it a little bit dirty. You're going to want to buy a horsehair brush. The horsehair brush will make cleaning these much easier. This is their default ebony fabric. I don't want to say it's like a nylon or a vinyl, but it feels like nylon rope. And then the roof, roof panels. I paid a bit extra for this pattern called, oh shoot, it's the replacement to their Geotex pattern. Geotex is no longer available, so they suggested this, and honestly came out really nice. I have to be honest, I like the Geotex better, but this is still really nice. I'm very happy with it. What was I going to say? Oh, yes. You're going to want to make sure that you kind of match up all your holes as close as possible. So, in the video they say, hey, make sure you match up everything with a marker before you start. And I did, but they reuse a lot of the factory holes. And it got to a point where I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and use the factory holes. I know where they're at. That's not going to be the case for here. And the center line's the most important piece. They do call that out in the video. So don't be lazy or an idiot like I was. But this whole center L track is going to be very crucial for the fitment for the rest of your build. The only, and they do call this out, the only panel I had that was not 100% lined up with the default holes that I put rivet nuts in were here and here on the driver's side. You could just kind of take a step bit and kind of go off to the side. I did feel the step bit was eating too much of the finish here, so I actually ended up flipping it over and using a Dremel and kind of moving it forward as much as I needed. It was about a 1/4 inch off on the bottom. Oh, another thing, if you want black hardware and black L-track, there's a lovely woman by the name of Amanda in their customer support. She's been talking to me the whole way through, and she had mentioned that there's a blackout kit, which clearly I have, but there's no option on the webpage, so make sure you reach out to them. And it takes 6 to 8 weeks for your order to go through anyway, so that you don't have to worry about missing it, but you're going to have to reach out to them and say, hey, I'd like black hardware, because otherwise there's that checkbox option's not on their POS system on their website. So otherwise, the build's coming along nicely. Ugh. Just jump out of the van real quick. We still have to make some cutouts for the rear windows here. We're going to put some like these slider cheapo windows here. I really couldn't find anything nicer, to be honest with you. It's like a $400 window here for both sides. But then we're going to go with the CRL window. Pretty common. It looks pretty factory. You'll go there. And then we've got a Futura trailer on order. We're going to leave the stock steels. Doesn't really matter. We're not getting any crazy off-road stuff. Suspension will come later. The original intent was to not do a suspension, mostly just because I had no intention of really taking this too far off-road. It was going to be like light trails, but mostly for just going to track days and towing my car around. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but every time I stand in the van and I move about, the whole thing does one of these. So clearly it needs some suspension work. So we're probably going to do one of the rip kits that people do for this, the ride improvement kits. I'm unsure if they have come out with it for the 2023s yet, just because there have been some changes to the front suspension, just how it mounts to the rest of the chassis. So the front suspension's a bit different, so I don't know if they've come up with those updates yet. But the 7500 is supposed to still be good to pull. Excuse me, the 3500 XD is supposed to still be good to pull 7,500 pounds, which is good because that guy is my Panamera GTS estate. That thing weighs 4,600 pounds on a good day, even if it does have the ceramic brakes. So this will probably be the heaviest thing we'll tow. We'll use this on track days where the weather turns to poo and I don't want to take the RS out. And then that'll probably never be towed by that thing. But, God forbid it breaks down on the side of the road. We could tow it ourselves, I suppose. One thing that I have a question about, maybe somebody out there in the comments can answer. I don't know how I would tow this thing, because it's just shy of 9.5, 10 feet tall. It'll get a little bit taller once I put new tires on. I am going to go with slightly more aggressive tire. And I noticed here we can kind of flat tow the front. I'm assuming obviously that would be in neutral, but I'm just curious how that would work. I've never had to have a vehicle this tall towed before. Normally I just call whomever I need to call and say, hey, I need a flatbed, and it's a sports car typically, so they come flatbed it. But anyone else, let me know. But so far the project's coming along well. I'm thinking it should probably be done here in maybe the next 5 or 6 weeks, so maybe we could take it on our first holiday come late May.